Today, I am traveling deep into the California desert to visit a huge abandoned railroad bridge. To get there, we have to follow a decommissioned rail line past forgotten train cars, derailments, and abandoned tunnels. Welcome back to the Abandoned Project. Today we are down in the town of Jacumba in the California desert. We're gonna be doing a hike out to the Goat Canyon Trestle Bridge, which is the largest wooden trestle bridge ever created. We decided to grab mountain bikes because it's about 16 to 18 miles round trip. First thing you gotta do is navigate to the Shell gas station that's right off the freeway. So we decided to park at that gas station and take the dirt road down underneath the freeway. There's a little pull-off area right here that you can park at, but the road was super washboard, so we just decided to bike. It's only like a mile or so. This is the area that you can park for this hike if you don't want to park at the gas station and do that extra mile. Pretty quickly after this, we are gonna hop onto the railroad tracks. Just came to our first little bridge. It's definitely pretty tight along the edge of the track, and some of the bridges are a little sketchy, but nothing that we just can't walk over. The bikes are more just to get out there a little faster. After about a mile, we've come to our first set of abandoned trains. So those trains were really, really cool. I'm gonna make a full separate video on that, which I'll link right here if you wanna check those out more in detail. But we've got about 7 more miles to go. So we're gonna get back on the road, or back on the rails. I think we're gonna have a lot of these kind of sketchy bridges in our near future. A couple of these are a little rickety, but we're walking underneath these bigger beams, so. Came out to our first tunnel. This one's been closed. I did a little research. A couple of these on the way are gonna be collapsed or unstable, so they definitely don't want you going in these ones. Snap a couple of photos and then backtrack about a quarter mile and hike around. So about a quarter mile back from that blocked off railroad tunnel, we found the little offshoot. There's a couple little markers. Pretty much you just take every fork that you see to the left and follow it around. Looks like after just a little bit on this dirt path, we'll rejoin right over here. Pathway back down is pretty rocky. You can always kind of hike your bike though around it because it is a little treacherous in areas. And if you fall out here, you're on your own. So back to the railroad tracks. Coming up to the next railroad bridge. Anything I'd go on this one. Well, I think I'm just gonna hike here.
One small step and I'm dead.
There's a couple planks here that look a little sketchy. So we're walking across the big thick beams that don't look too rotted. So if I haven't said this already, this hike is technically on private property, unmaintained. You're on your own out here. If you do this on a mountain bike, I definitely recommend that you walk every single one of these bridges. Where are those guys? You really can't go very far without hitting a bridge. Oh, it's open. Looks like we've hit our first big tunnel. Dang. This is crazy. Also, I should mention that this railroad line is no longer in service. The last train ran in the early 2000s, so you're not gonna have a train coming at you while you're hiking along. So after about 4 miles into the ride, came to a second section of abandoned rail cars. These ones have had a recent fire. I don't know about walking through this. I think we'll walk around to the other side. I think the middle one hasn't burned, but look at this shit. Hey. So this middle one isn't burned, which is pretty cool. Wow. Pretty sweet. These ones aren't as cool as the trains that we first saw at the beginning of this hike, but still pretty cool. Look at this. It's in French. I'm gonna guess that this probably came from Canada, if it's French first. Here's another look at the burned out one on the end. Those trains were super cool. We're gonna keep continuing on until we get to the big trestle bridge. Just a short distance down from those abandoned trains, there was a site of a derailment in the 50s. Apparently a train hauling a bunch of Coors Light went over and they never picked it up, just still hanging out down there. This section up here has a bunch of different scrap metal that it looks like they maybe used at one point to work on the railroad. The big tunnel up here is closed, so we're gonna have to take the path around. All the tunnels as well are numbered, so if you kind of look online and follow a hiking guide, you can kind of get an idea of what tunnel you're at. This one's tunnel number 8. The path up around tunnel number 8 has a lot of cactus and it's on a pretty steep drop off. We just decided to kind of walk with our bikes on the side of us for this one. This is definitely a area you would not really want to fall. What do you think?
A little gnarly.
So we're just about done with this kind of hike-a-bike section. It was probably a good mile, if not more, around. Oh, probably shouldn't walk and talk at the same time. That's a bad idea. There's a couple of sketchy sections that had some pretty big drop-offs that you had to get around. Relatively manageable. If you were hiking it, it'd be no big deal. With a bike, it's a little clumsy. Every spot except for this walk around, I've been really happy to have a bike. And now we're gonna jump back on the railroad. Come up to the next tunnel. There's a short one, but I think it's followed by a much longer one. This is tunnel 14. Looks like this is the longest one we've come across right now. I've read that one is like a half a mile. I don't know if it's this one or not. I'd recommend that you bring a flashlight or a headlamp. So we're gonna throw those on right now and see how far it really is. Crazy. Echo! So that one was definitely the longest. I'm gonna say that was the one that was a half mile. All the rest you didn't really need a headlamp for, but that one definitely got pretty dark. Tunnel 15, that should be the last one. And the trestle bridge is right on the other side. There she is. This is something. Oh man. Made it across the bridge. This is so cool. Just to see how you could build something like this out here is freaking nuts. This thing is massive. I mean, look at that thing. It's one of these loading cars over here, and up above, like a water tank for fires. So I'm gonna check out this rail car right here. It's got a pretty cool mural on it. I'm gonna climb up on this thing. Out of this. Oh, cool. It's just empty, but still neat. So this bridge was built to replace a tunnel that had been taken out by a landslide, and you can actually see the tunnel on the far side over here. There's really no way that they could have rebuilt that. Looks like the tunnel moved downhill a little bit too when the landslide came. From my understanding, this is the largest wooden trestle ever created. It's just nuts to see. You can see a couple pieces of boards down here that are like broken off a little bit. So it's been decommissioned for quite a few years, but man, it's freaking cool. So there's a little catwalk down underneath it that I've heard some people have checked out. You can kind of really see how this thing was built from down there. Dang. Yeah, I don't know how far I'd go on this though. You can see just how weathered the wood is too. Dry and like, can even just flake off. This thing is crazy looking. I'm not gonna go very far on that. That's a little sketchy. Man, what a spot. Look at this nail sticking out of here.
This thing?
Oh, it's like that thing's cool looking. It's like an old switch, right? Or something? Yeah, it would switch into the rail lines.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Whatever it was, the engine was probably right here.
So that's gonna be it for this one. Thanks so much for joining along. If you have any questions on this hike, hit me up in the comments. I'll do my best to help you plan your trip out here. Please hit that subscribe button. Always appreciate the support. Until next time.